Hello and welcome to Two Andrews, One Barbell. I'm Andrew Rowe and
I'm Andrew Blackwood.
this is episode 5 already.
Yeah, straight in, no kissing.
I keep saying that. I keep saying already as if we don't plan them 2 weeks in advance. But
I know.
yeah,
But
straight
the
in.
2 weeks goes by quickly. I can't imagine trying to do these more frequently than that.
You know what it is? There's a nice offset between the time we record and then we get the episode.
Yeah.
So it's like, what, a week before we get the episode, and then we post, we make clips with it. You make clips with it, I don't.
This guy's sending me videos going, will you please put captions on this?
He said to send them
Yeah, I did, in
videos for
fairness.
captions because the app costs money. So I sent him money. I sent him half the cost
he
of the
did.
app.
In fairness, he did.
Yeah. Speaking of apps that cost money.
Yeah.
So I'm also,
Wait, what? Okay, go.
I am doing college work a lot.
Yeah.
A lot recently as well. It's like exam season, loads of assignments due.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine showed me an app called Forest. Okay.
Okay.
And it was the first time I've paid for an app in so long.
Yeah. What is it?
It's okay. So you plant a tree in your forest, okay, for a certain amount of time. Let's say you want to plant for an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. And while that hour is on, you can show the app what apps to block on your phone.
Okay,
So
I
it
see
can't
where
get
it's
into
going. I
Snapchat,
see where.
Facebook, Safari, whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you do, when you click on it, it just says you're
Yeah.
planting a tree. But then if you say ignore, the tree dies.
Okay,
let's
so
say-
I was going to say, it doesn't actually like
Yeah.
lock you out of the thing.
Yeah.
All right, that's
So it's
interesting.
like a investment. It's like a sunk cost
Yeah.
fallacy it plays on that. It's
Yeah.
like you've already put in 40 minutes into the tree. You want to give up
wanna
the last
see it.
20. You're not going to open Snapchat now.
Hey.
It's really good.
And then when the tree grows, you get to like see you've planted 20 trees, or does the
Yeah,
tree
you
just
see.
look off?
So I've
after
like
you?
a daily forest, weekly forest, monthly forest. And then you
Okay.
can also see when you add friends on it. Now,
Yeah.
I have one friend.
in general, and
you
it's
can
me.
see your focus time relative to one another's like a leaderboard or whatever. But it doesn't just have to be for studying. Like if you're actually just on your phone too much, like I often am, just doing nothing, like non-productive things, you just press for 60 minutes focus, and you just don't open those apps then.
Okay, I like that. I
And
might
if
have
there's
to check
apps,
that out.
yeah, like I keep iMessage open in case my parents text me or
someone's
someone important needs me. Like, but
And does it block notifications? Does it do anything like that?
Fully blocks them.
Because I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, just 24/7 now. And then intermittently, when I feel I have the time, I'll check my notifications. But yeah, because I would always spend way too much time on my phone. If I was doing something and you get a notification, it's totally gone. So I have no notifications for TikTok, Instagram, social media, any of those kind of things.
it's funny how we've gotten to that stage where
Yeah.
we have to block the notifications on our phone.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. And then even like a rule that I have is just I will not go on my phone within like the first hour and a half of waking up, because I find as soon as I go on my phone, it just completely derails whatever like mindset I had for the day. All the like productive ideas that I had and things that I needed to get done just get sidetracked because you've seen whatever notifications and someone commented something stupid in your video, and then you're thinking about that, and then you're checking something else, and then you're gone. As soon as the phone is open, you're in a different world. So
It's a really good idea. I do the exact same thing for about 2.5 minutes. No, but for real, I think you actually, I'd say it is unhealthy to go on your phone straight away.
Right.
I'm going to try stop. I'm going to try give myself maybe like 20 minutes of like wake up, let your brain just figure out what it's doing without getting those like dopamine hits from the phone. Let it figure out its day. Go about your day, and then maybe when you're like, because it actually does delay me as well.
Oh, 100%.
Delay is when you're having breakfast and everything like this. So.
do you journal or anything? Do you ever write stuff down?
Only,
like the day ahead,
only
the
when
week ahead?
stressed.
Okay.
Only when stress gets to the point where I can't
Yeah.
concentrate.
Feel a bit like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That's every day for me. First thing I do in the
though.
morning is, before I go on the phone, is just, okay, write out the things I need to do today.
Yeah.
I don't do it like a week in advance. I just find that's too difficult to like stick to, just the nature of the job that I do, I guess. Things are changing all the time.
OnlyFans.
But yeah.
It does
Yeah,
change all the time.
writing in the morning, okay, this is XYZ thing that I need to do. Then as I go throughout the day, and I have been getting distracted and pulled in different directions, then I'll catch myself 5 minutes of scrolling and go, okay, shit, go back to the diary. Okay, what do I need to do today? Just tick off that next little thing.
I know when Andrew's doing that 5 minutes of scrolling because I get the most outrageous, illegal, incriminating Instagram reels. I don't know why Instagram reels doesn't have like the filter TikTok has. Man, you can post anything on Instagram
There's
Reels.
some heinous stuff up. Heinous.
Andrew sends
Absolutely.
me like, and you know by the name as well,
it's
the
bad.
name of the account. I'm
It's
not even
bad.
going to call
I need
someone
to get better at it, dude. That's not good. I shouldn't be feeding into that. This guy likes them and then he's crying, laughing, and loving it.
Okay. But how are you? Otherwise, you're saying you're feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, so I'm good overall. I'm a little bit under the weather the last few days. Just got a bit of the man flu, but I kind of know why that has come about. I don't get sick very often, but it's week 4 of the training block that I'm in at the moment, just coming out the back of the deficit. It's that kind of time of year, everything's cold. It's, there's just a lot of variables contributing. So coming out of the deficit, why are you doing that with
I forgot we had them on.
I did actually forget to, I'll tell you.
Put it back on.
Okay. What was I talking about? So this is what's happening. My brain is a little bit mushy. I'd say I'm like 50% brain capacity at the moment, but I'm powering through. I had a monster, so it's livened me up a little bit. But yeah, week 4 of the training, just coming out of the deficit. I wanted to push this week 4 quite a bit because I was just curious where I stood after the deficit, how much of an impact it had on strength, say. So I'm down 6 kilos or so.
Nice.
And from pushing the weights this week, I think I doubled the 270 squat. I hit 250 for 5 on squat as well, which was...
That was even cooler, I think.
That was 40 kilos heavier than any weight that I'd touched like previously in the block from my back offs. Pulled 320, benched 170 for 2. So like I'm basically at my best strength numbers coming off the back of losing 6 kilos and not doing very intense or specific training. So that was very cool. That was a nice confidence boost. And now that's like motivating going forward now for when I'm going to be eating more food. We're just going to see an upward trend with training. So.
How do you perceive that strength expression in light of your stance on, like, we make progress through gaining, right? And you did the opposite, and yet, pretty out of nowhere, you were able to express similar strength to just before.
I think it just comes back to that building of momentum again, because I took everything so conservative in the previous weeks leading into it. So it wasn't that I had made any gains in particular, but I had maintained them by doing the baseline amount of work that I needed to do, but not too much that I would fatigue myself. So then when it was week 4 and I knew I would have an opportunity to reduce stress in week 1 of the following block, I said, okay, I have a little bit more wiggle room. I can push it a little bit more. And then I was able to express that strength that I had dormant, I suppose, that I had maintained, but it wasn't that I had built any strength while I was coming down in body weight.
That's pretty exciting though, because it means having lost and not necessarily built anything, not gained any body weight, and you're round about where you were. What happens when you're...
Bro, the dots have gone up, baby.
The dots on your set of 5. But when you're 115, again, when you're 118 one day.
It's going to be exciting.
That's right.
And then even beyond that again, say next year when I do come back down, I'm confident now that I can maintain whatever strength that I've built up, having gone up that much.
Because you got down to what, 108?
Yeah, and it was comfortable. Like, it was pretty easy. So,
Wow.
What about you? How are you getting on?
Great. College is busy right now. Like I'm saying, it's assignment season, exam season. Everything's going really well, and I'm on top of it and hitting deadlines, which is great. But it just means I'm constantly distracted, and that's fine. Training's going really well. I got my tattoo done on my back.
No, you haven't shown me yet.
All right, here we go. But
save for afterwards, and the cameras are off.
You have to pay
and the other cameras are on.
So with that, I kind of changed my training week around. So that was a Saturday. So Sunday off, Monday off, where I normally do day 1. And then Tuesday, squatted and benched really light, like deload in a hoodie, which is horrendous. I don't know how anyone does that. And then I pushed deadlifts pretty hard. But with all this change, my body was feeling different levels of fatigue and so on. So what I'm planning to do next week is week 4, where similar to yourself, I want to use week 4 to express strength. Going to push, squat, and bench with a few friends when I'm training with them.
Didn't know you had those.
Yeah, I know.
See, you've been giving me shit for the last 4 episodes, so I've been stockpiling these up now. I'm getting any dig in that I can.
You're going to tee yourself up
for everything, man. Smash them out the park.
Okay, but anyway, I want to express strength on week 4, specifically on squat and bench. Building up quite a bit of fatigue, accessory-wise. My pecs, my shoulders getting pretty tired. So I've just the last few days, I'm trying to figure out how to balance. I was going to talk to you about this. How to balance the push of accessories that happens across the block, right?
Yeah.
Because you're starting to get stronger and stronger. You're handling more and more. You're pushing to failure all the time, which after a point you want to pull back a bit as well, right?
Yeah.
And then SPD wise, you're building up that momentum as well. But as I'm building up the SPD momentum, I'm getting more and more fatigued in the pecs and so on. Pecs specifically, because that's what I'm feeling, right? But it's whole body, it's CNS. And so I'm thinking, and I was telling my mom about this. So cute, just listening. I know.
She probably has more like knowledge and information about powerlifting than most people who train.
Seriously, my mom doesn't train. Like, but she could probably write someone's program. But, so what I'm thinking of doing is on basically, I have weeks 1 through 4 of SPD. Yeah. And then offset weeks 1 through 4 of accessories to start on week 4. So here's the plan. Yeah. Right. Tell me if this sounds.
I like this. You kind of floated this to me already, but
so week 3 of SPD of the block, I will basically do no accessories or deload accessories, so that going into week 4, my body is fresher. Right. I start my accessories again in week 4 because my SPD volume goes down as I push intensity. I'm going to push that set of 7 next week on squat. Probably do no back downs. So I actually have the capacity to do accessories again, but I'm just building them up. Deload week of SPD is week 2 of accessories. Week 1 of SPD, which is really light, is week 3 of accessories. Week 2 of SPD is week 4 of accessories. And then the next week, I deload accessories again, and I'm building momentum on the squat, bench, and deadlift to express in week 4.
I know what you mean, but those numbers in my brain at this current moment in time, bro, I could not. I know what you mean, though. You're going to push them on week 4 and then allow week 3 so you can drop off that fatigue, express the strength on the SPD. Yeah. I actually like that idea quite a lot. Yeah. That's actually something I might experiment with myself. Yeah. Because what I do is I just push them week 1 to 4. Yeah. And basically with all my accessory work, I take it to RP 9/10. Sometimes I do like 4 reps if there's people around in the gym who can help me out spotting on machines and stuff. But yeah, that makes sense that if you're pushing that accessory fatigue on week 4, that could potentially inhibit that strength expression on the final week. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's something to try out. For myself, what I do is I just have kind of phases where there's more intent just going on to building and that like hypertrophy kind of focus. Yeah. And then when the intent is really like strength expression, which is only kind of like the last 4 weeks going into a competition, that's when all the accessory fatigue is stripped back. So for the vast majority of my training, it is under some amount of fatigue from accessories because we push that quite a lot. Yeah. The pair of us now with our ideas that we've come to. So yeah, maybe that is something that we can try like on a smaller scale to set ourselves up for big week 4.
I think I like it. Yeah, I think I like it.
Well, we'll find it out.
I think I like it. I haven't done it. Going into competition now, I have like after this block, I have like 3 full blocks.
Yeah, which is mad. It's actually coming around quick, isn't it?
Yeah. So the next block still going to be building focused.
Yeah.
A little bit more specific in the SPD, but not overly. Yeah. And then the 2 blocks going into comp is when accessories are going to taper out. So the goal won't be hypertrophy; it'll be like maintenance. Yeah. And then that block before comp, it's all in. It's like, sure, we're going to maintain a little bit of muscle. I might have curls here and there, back here and there. Yeah. But like, I'll probably do no chest accessories, no shoulder accessories.
Very little lower body
recovery resources. Yeah, probably no lower body. Just all recovery.
Just trying to be strong. Trying to be strong. Yeah. Okay, very good.
Body weight myself.
Oh yeah,
man. I don't enjoy tracking, right? And sure, my stress levels have been increased in the last few weeks. So there's a variable in there that I can't account for very well. Yeah. And my appetite wasn't great. But then I said, I'm going to get back on the wagon here because my gaining had stopped. I haven't actually gained in the last 4 weeks. I've been around 100 to 100.5. Okay. So I had touched 101. So it's like, okay, let me get back to 101. I increased my calories to a more consistent 4,000. Have been 101. And then this week, it's been teasing me, man. I've added food every day. I've like, oh my God, nailing this. Going out for lunch here and there, eating this, eating that. And I was like, dropping. And then today I was below 100 kilos again, 99.8.
Do you know what I think it is?
Yeah.
As we talked about in the last episode, you had been tracking inaccurately where you were underestimating the amount of food that you were eating. Yeah. So I think when you were thinking that you were eating 3,500 calories, where you were clocking like 5,000 plus, absolutely you were. So now you're eating 4,000, you're in a deficit, bro. You're losing weight.
What the fuck?
So now we need to figure that out again. I would say if you are confident that you're tracking accurately this time, bump that up to, after maybe another week of seeing where body weight is sitting.
I'm just going to bump.
4,500.
I'm at the stage now where I actually just want to see what happens when I add the food.
Fair.
Because, a week or two? Yeah. It's not, the reason we started tracking initially was to avoid like a sudden spike to 105. I'm not going to get to 105 in 2 weeks. I need to see what happens if I double down on food. Over Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Do you do much with your family?
In what sense? Just like see my family like?
Do you have many out of your typical routine activities?
Yeah, just like dinners and stuff maybe, and gatherings.
Does it change your approach to tracking, approach to food? Does it disrupt your...
Not really. I would say it's only kind of Christmas Day, Stephen's Day. That would be the main interruptions. Other than that, it'll probably just be my normal eating all the way through. Nice. If anything, I actually struggle to get in enough calories on Christmas Day, Stephen's Day, because you're having like family dinners and it's like your normal human family members who are making the dinners. So you have like a normal serving of food rather than a massive plate to try to get you to 5,000 calories. So I find after I have like had a meal with them, I'm like going home to cook a steak and rice and stuff. So yeah, I actually find that I undereat over like the Christmas period.
Yeah. I find it's difficult to, because I'll eat dessert. Right? Yeah. I'll eat dessert like a motherfucker. But it's hard to eat again. It's hard to eat again. Like you have your dinner, then you'll have all this like cake, ice cream or whatever. It's hard to, I couldn't eat steak and rice after that. So that's actually the biggest disruption. Drinking wise, I don't really drink too much over the Christmas period. I will more than probably a normal week, but that's not too much of a disruption.
I think I'll be driving on Christmas Day. We're going to go see my family, so I probably won't drink at all. I just don't, I don't really love drinking as is.
You probably won't drink at all, but you are driving.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
It hasn't gone too well in the past.
The roads will be quiet, man. It'll be fine.
They're going to be quiet because you'll be in the ditch. There'll be no cars on the road.
We'll be all right, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Let me get this question list up.
Oh, yeah. So that's what we're doing in today's podcast. We're going to do another Q&A. We have some very good questions coming up in this one, so hopefully we can, we can touch on some interesting topics.
Fucking. Okay.
Do you want to start off?
I'll ask you.
Okay.
Have you ever felt imposter syndrome in competition, in coaching, maybe social media, whatever?
Yeah. So the initial question was sent through as in competition. And I looked at it for like a minute and honestly the answer was just no. I can't really think of a time where I would have felt like imposter syndrome at a competition, just because like say if it was an international that I went to, like I qualified to go there. So I kind of just knew, okay, I somewhat deserved to be here, I guess. So not really ever in a competition setting. Again, I think maybe just because it's like objective numbers that gives you a little bit more reassurance that you kind of deserve to be there. But in coaching, absolutely 100% yes. Even I sent you a post recently, another coach was talking about a specific topic. And it's something that I wouldn't be experienced in. I wouldn't have been particularly confident in. And I sent it to you and I was like, this gets me second guessing myself that I'm like missing out on some massive variable or like there's a big gap in my knowledge that I should know. Now, in fairness, this was like a super niche like strategy that they were talking about. And I would get quite a lot. So even in the beginning, before I started coaching, there was a massive hesitation to start because I felt that I didn't know everything. So I was like, how can I coach someone? What if they come to me with a problem that I don't know how to fix? And that stops me from getting into the whole industry for a long time, a long time. And then it was only from talking to other coaches and asking them those questions, like what if XYZ scenario comes up and I don't know how to deal with it? And just be honest about it. You don't need to know everything to get into coaching. And a concept that really helped me was, are you able to help yourself like where you were, say, 6 months ago, a year ago? And the answer to that is absolutely 100% yes. So when I started to feel more confident in myself in that aspect of, okay, yeah, I do have enough knowledge, enough understanding to be able to help where I was. So let me get into it from there. And when I got into it, that's where I saw like the most amount of growth and the most amount of just like knowledge from experience. You're dealing with people, say there is a scenario that you don't exactly know how to address. That's how you learn. You're open and honest, going, okay, I don't have a ton of experience in this specific area. Let me research it. Let me find out. Let's experiment together. And then you put things into play with the people in front of you and you go from there. And there's still plenty of things that I don't know. I don't think that I know everything, but I know enough
to go at it, yeah.
So in coaching, absolutely. In social media, I don't know if I would say imposter syndrome necessarily, but there's definitely like hesitation around posting. Like maybe it is imposter syndrome to a certain aspect where I would be hesitant to post my ideas or thoughts or philosophies around training because I'm like, who the fuck am I? I'm just a guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've only done a few competitions. I've only been coaching for a couple of years. So that would hold me back from expressing the ideas that I have. Obviously, that's not an issue anymore because we have a whole podcast where we ramble for an hour and a half of the stupid ideas I have in my brain. But yeah, I've definitely experienced it from time to time, and it comes in waves. It definitely comes in waves. Sometimes I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then sometimes even after like a couple of these podcasts, I'm going, man, do I even know what I'm talking about? Like, am I just talking absolute shit and everyone's looking at me like I'm an idiot? But thankfully from the feedback we've been getting from these, maybe some of the stuff is resonating at least. So yeah, I've definitely gone through it myself. What about you?
Yeah, coaching related. It's this fear that it's surrounding like the dissemination of information. You don't want to seem like you know what you're talking about if you don't.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, you don't want to give out information. People use it and it doesn't work or it backfires in some capacity. So definitely, yeah. And I think again, it was before coaching like that. Before you took the leap in, the biggest fear was, oh, but like, what if there's something I can't handle? And Adam was just like, fucking figure it out. I'm here. You've other people, you've friends to figure it out. Chances are, and we talk about this, 99% of powerlifting is simple. Like you'll be able to figure that shit out. And then if there's a 1%, find out.
Yeah.
Admit you don't know. That's a huge thing. As long as you let go of the reins and you know in advance that if there's something you don't know, you're going to be able to say, I don't know. Then it's so liberating. It's like, it's okay. My client, I'd rather, my coach tell me, you know what? I'm not going to give you an answer on this because I don't have an answer. And now, years on, I find myself, not often, like every time my guys ask me something, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Adam finds out all my messages and it's like, I don't know. I'll get back to you. No, but I do like situations where I can tell them, you know what, like, there probably isn't an answer to this, or more often than not, this is a minutia. This is something so small that, like, okay, you could try it.
Yeah.
It probably won't make a difference for the next 2 weeks. That tends to be the answer in those situations, but it is a big deal. I know the feeling. I remember it. Before we started coaching, it was, if they ask me something, I need to be able to give them an answer.
Yeah.
But that situation doesn't really come up at all, even though like there's no manual that we need to read. There's no exact science that we might have like a reference to. So it's okay. You just have to kind of jump in and figure it out. Yeah. I think it helps as well at the start of coaching. Typically, I know myself, you do it for free.
Yeah. Just build up that base of experience.
Yeah. The people, it's worth talking to the people you're hiring or that are hiring you, and chances are they're people you know at the start as well. It's not like you're getting some client who just heard of you through coaching because you haven't a reputation yet. So it's people you know. They know you're new to it. Yeah. So, and especially if you're not charging them, it's like, how about we just figure this out together? And then the pressure's off. Right? Yeah. And then once you're comfortable, you kind of start charging, adding financials into it, and then now I'm very comfortable in my ability to coach, as are you.
Yeah.
I knew, you were saying how on social media, no, but then you realized, it is a bit. It's about what you're saying. You don't want to say something that could be picked up as wrong. Yeah. Or like, I know I used to have this fear that I would say something and someone would reply to it saying, no, this is why. Whereas now, I know I'm fairly confident in the things we're going to share, and we would never really share something we don't believe or we're not confident in. But then also, we're not standing from a place of, this is the fact. It's more like, here's what I think. Yeah, you're allowed to say what you think, even if you're wrong. It doesn't matter.
And that is another thing that can be difficult, specifically in like the fitness industry, because there is like conflicting ideas on absolutely every topic that you can imagine. Whether it is nutrition, what diet you should follow, if you should be high protein, if you should be high carb, if you should be no carb, if you should be high fat, whatever, or training approaches, if you should do it this way, should you do singles, you shouldn't do singles, should you, whatever, anything that you can possibly imagine, there will be one camp that is entirely for it and one camp that is entirely against it. Something that I realized that was helpful for me as well is realizing that it can all work. Yeah. Like almost everything will have some sort of application or place. Again, so long as you don't have like any crazy staunch opinions or you're fixed in one camp or the other, even then, I guess maybe there is a place for that as well. Maybe like we need conflicting ideas so that it can open up that discussion and debate. I think the both of us like to live in that kind of like gray area in the middle where we understand that there can be application of all these different ideas.
Who do you think's going to go grey first? Sorry.
Us.
Yeah.
Both my grandparents still have like my granddads have a full head of hair, but they're both like, yeah.
Is it white?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I didn't say bald, I said grey.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to keep my hair. So
keep it.
Yeah.
But what colour is it going to be? And
well, obviously it's going to go grey. I'm not going to have jet black hair when I'm 90.
Me
I
and
don't
you.
fucking know. Like, what's it mean? When are we going to go?
You. That's what he's saying.
Bro, you're going bald. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Yeah. More questions. Okay, I like this one.
The second one.
At your heaviest body weight, did you feel that your belly affected your lifts?
Only positively. Only positively.
Yeah.
Because it just feels so much better.
Yeah. Break it down for me.
Break it down. It just feels, you can feel it pressing into your thighs at the bottom of a squat.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not a super heavyweight,
but
you can definitely feel it. And then now that my waist has gotten so much bigger compared to when I was smaller, I see people, really strong people, international lifters that I've met with really small waists that don't touch their thighs. And I'm like, bro, how
the hell are you lifting that weight, man?
What the fuck? Yeah,
when you don't have a power belly, how the fuck are you lifting that weight?
Pressing again? It's like when I get, the only reason I know I'm in the hole is because my belly's pressing against my leg. That's my depth check. That's why my belly's getting squished. You know, someone said to me before that I would wear my belt really high.
Yeah.
Any lower and it's cutting my love handles off. I need those. The fuck. Yeah.
Bench, any effect?
How would it affect bench?
Trim the arm a little bit. Depends how high or low you touch. I think for me, it's probably helped a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. No. Well, from the side, like, it's funny. I'm just like up upper mountain, like.
You can't even see the arch.
Yeah, I touch at like the very top of my stomach, I would say.
Okay.
So, yeah, it has helped definitely a little bit. Just reduce the ROM.
Okay.
So that's where it can be interesting because obviously if you just look at the weight classes in general, the super heavyweights, oftentimes their belly can get in the way. Like they're
not judging here.
Like,
it's
normal. Like if you have a massive gut, it can just make it hard to get into that bottom position. Yeah. In the beginning with my sumo deadlift, there was definitely changes I had to make to accommodate for the extra mass around there. The main things that I changed was just set up a little bit further away from the bar, give myself a little bit more space, and that has solved pretty much everything. It hasn't gotten in the way. My deadlift has gone up as I've gone up in body weight. Squat, I would concur with you that having that mass, it's squishing off your legs as you're going down. It's perfect. As I was losing weight, there was definitely a learning process of trying to get familiar with my leverages again when there wasn't that same amount of like feedback. But yeah, I would say the belly has been beneficial.
The belly has been beneficial. All right. In all aspects, do you feel the belly has affected you in any other ways outside of lifting?
So there was another question here. Let me find it so I can ask it specifically. How much did the weight gain impact your mental health?
This is good.
So this is a good question. When I saw it initially, I was a bit like, huh? Like, I couldn't come up with anything off the bat. But talking to you, you raised some good points. So did you find that the weight gain has impacted your mental health? Okay,
so the weight gain has been a long-term process, I think. And I actually thought about it recently. I've gone up and down inadvertently quite a bit into the 90s, not even like back in the days where I was purposely cutting, but actually just my life has brought me down in body weights time to time. Maybe when I was injured, I would just say, fuck it, I'm not staying up super heavy. When I went to America, I came down and so on. So from the first time, I think, when I really pushed body weight into maybe like the mid 90s, the first time I ever did that was the first time I really put on. And I say really put on, I don't have a big gut, but it was the first time I went from being mainly abs to like wider and having love handles, right? Sinister laugh, spit it out. What?
Nothing, I just can relate, like,
Okay, yeah, hope so, right? Wow. But essentially that first time, it was a hard transition to make mentally because you have this image of yourself. Yeah. And when it changes, it's just a transition that's difficult.
You want to feel that you look good. Yes. Like everyone wants, ideally, we would all be absolutely jacked and shredded all the time. Like no one, well, maybe there are people who don't want that. That's actually...
I've gotten to the point now, after so many years, where I enjoy how I look at the body fat that I'm at. Yeah. I'm sure I may change that opinion if I gain another 5 kilos for performance, and that's fine. In a short term as well. Like I'm sure in 10 years when I'm 5 kilos heavier, I'll look leaner. But in the next year when I'm 5 kilos heavier, sure, maybe next October going to Euros, I'm not going to be delighted about the shape of my belly or whatever. But we have a reason for that. But no, in general, I've come to appreciate the size I am. I think the shreddedness is over glorified.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like for real,
100%.
like it actually is. And I prefer how I look in clothes. Or do you ever notice sometimes I'll have tracksuit bottoms on, t-shirt off. I'm like, oh, my love handles look pretty big. But then when I've nothing on, the love handles don't look that bad. It's compared to my legs, compared to I'm just getting fucking
hot bothered in here. Oh!
Yeah. That's a question later on.
Yeah, I know it is. We're gonna get to that. Okay, don't get ahead of yourself.
When it's down to it, the birthday suit, I like that shit. Yeah. You know, my legs, it all matches.
Yeah.
You know,
it's proportionate.
Man, I remember. I think it was like first year of college.
Yeah.
We're learning about body image and how we perceive ourselves in our head, and studies have been shown. I do not know how they did this, right? It was cool though. But we basically have a distorted self-image where the center of us, basically our belly, the thing we're most concerned about, takes up way more space in our heads than it does in real life. So we think, what that essentially means is, we think our belly is way bigger than it is. We think when other people look at us, they see so much.
Looking at your belly,
they're looking at your belly, but it's also like this size. It's like from our neck to our knees. It's like, it's not like, your belly is actually pretty small. Even if your belly is as big as it has been, it's still not that big. Like, your arms, your legs take up more
space
in real life than you think they do, than your brain thinks they do.
That's actually a really good point. I've never heard that brought up before.
You don't eat a load of food and you're full, and you think, Jesus, all I can feel is my belly. If I walk out now, someone's going to look at my belly. No one fucking sees your
pregnant,
belly. Because especially with lifting, your upper body takes up a lot more space. Your legs, your hips, they all take up so much more space. That, sure, when you get a bigger belly, it's bigger, but it's not as salient for other people as it is for you. So bear that in mind.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it actually helps me a lot.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, when you look at someone else, you're looking at their head. Like when you're talking to someone, you're interacting with someone, you're not looking at their belly. That's blown my mind a little bit. Because there's definitely times where I think that, exactly as you described, and you forget. Because how often do you see yourself in like a 3D view where you see how like big you are? So there's been times where I'm training with you and you're going, oh, you look jacked. I'm going, oh, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? You look twice the size that I do. But that's that distorted self-image that we have.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So how does it affect mental health? I think I've covered that somewhat, but basically there's a transition to be made mentally, and it's just coming to terms with how you look now and being okay with it. You know, you don't have to be shredded. You know, come to terms with the fact that you can look good when you're not shredded.
100%.
That's probably where I'd go.
That's been, I would agree a lot with what you said there. Like, just the initial, when you see yourself or you catch yourself in a picture or the mirror one time and you're going, whoa, this is what I look like now. I've got these love handles, I've got this bit of a belly. That can definitely be a little bit of a shock to the system. But as the time has gone on and you embrace just being like a bigger guy, being a bit more jacked, having bigger shoulders, bigger chest, bigger back, bigger legs, all the rest of it, I've come to appreciate that far more. And I am totally happy with my body composition at the moment. That being said, leading into European Championships last year, there was definitely a period there where I'd pulled back accessories and you feel that a little bit softer, where I was going, oh my God, you look absolutely shocking right now. But that's totally fine, because I knew, again, this is only a temporary period.
Your girlfriend wouldn't see you during that time. She said she'll see you after the
I wouldn't blame her, to be honest. Anyway, then in the period of being in a deficit, this was very interesting for me, where I was coming down in body weight and I was starting to feel that I looked better, but I was consuming a lot more like physique competitor content, bodybuilder content. And even as I was getting leaner, I was going, oh, you look terrible, man. You look fat as fuck. What's going on? Because I was comparing myself to people who are at the end of a 30-week dieting phase, who are shredded to the bone, and they're only going to be that lean for 2 weeks before they put on size again, and it's not sustainable, and you can't be comparing yourself to that. But I started to fall victim to it a little bit. Now, I was aware, like in the grand scheme of things, that, okay, you can't be comparing yourself to that. But there was definitely something to it, where my body, like, just my thoughts around body image were a little bit tampered with, perhaps. But how, like now coming out of that little period of the deficit and going back into a surplus, eating more food again, I feel probably the most confident that I ever have been with my body composition. I'm 108 kilos. I was going to say I kind of have abs at certain times of the day with certain lighting. I have like a 4-pack maybe, like, but that's better than when I was 108 on the way up. And yeah, I just feel great. I feel just confident in myself. I've learned to appreciate all the things that come along with being this size, like the performance benefits, which maybe will tie us into another question here, where I'll just paraphrase it a little bit. It was, how do you get young, stubborn lifters to move up a weight class? So this can be branched off into a few different areas. I imagine this is something that we have both gone through ourselves, being that young, stubborn lifter, not wanting to go up in body weight. It's something that I'm experiencing quite often with my own lifters. I'm sure you probably have similar experiences. Since us talking about that topic in general, other coaches have been talking to me about it. Like it's just a common thing that people are resistant to moving up a weight class. So where do you go? What thoughts do you have around that initial question? How do you get young, stubborn lifters to go up a weight class?
It's just like a fucking stay there and your numbers not go anywhere. You know, I'm telling you to do something.
Be shit.
So it's okay. So it's cognitive, right?
Yeah.
They are associating a weight class with a level of like positivity or negativity on the way up. It's like, oh, but the 76s or the 105s, that's fat.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing. And then the other thing I think is, the other thing that comes to mind for me is, oh, but I'm way less competitive in the class above. More often than not, they're not competitive in the class they're in either. And
that's a good point.
so it doesn't matter. And what we've come to use as ammunition in this conversation is, what if you're more competitive in the class above when you fill it out? You don't know. You actually don't know.
Honestly, I would err on that side.
I would err on that side for probably
the vast majority of people.
Nearly everyone.
Yeah.
It's very rare. And I think recently we've said it's very, very, very high level lifters, say like international podium people, that maybe when they go up, you could see that question being in their mind because they might not make the podium.
Yeah, if they're placing second at
in the 74s, but then in the 83s they don't podium.
But that's like, if they're already that competitive in the class that they're in, it's probably likely that after 1 or 2 years they will be
of being 10 kilos heavier.
Yeah. And it also kind of, it's not directly related, but ties in a little bit of concept that I've like heard thrown around a bit, is that powerlifting weight classes are kind of like height classes in disguise. You
say you've heard this being thrown around a bit, you've thrown it around.
Yeah, because I've heard it from elsewhere, right? I heard it came in it, and then I threw it out the other way, right? So when I have like posted that online, there's been like good reception, some people agreeing, and then there's been plenty of people who like disagree with that. Now, my understanding of it, that saying powerlifting weight classes are like high classes in disguise, first and foremost, that is discussing if you want to be competitive. If you're just a completely recreational lifter, of course, just lift wherever is like comfortable for you. You don't need to try maximize the amount of muscle mass that you have in your frame. If you're not taking it that seriously and you don't care, no problem. But I'm talking about, say, the top level of the sport. I'm just going to throw out numbers that are not 100% accurate, but like, say the 83 kilo lifters, they're all like 5'5", 5'4". 93 are kind of like 5'5", 5'6". The best 105s are kind of in around that like 5'9", 5'10" maybe range. And then above that, you go on. I read an article actually about it where it was discussing, I'm not even going to try like explain the way that they explained it, but like the actual science behind like, if you are a bigger person, like a taller person competing against a shorter person who has more muscle mass, the percentage more work that you would have to do to overcome the same amount of resistance and whatever. Basically, it's just going to be so much harder for you. You're going to be chasing your tail if you are 6 foot trying to compete in the 83s and you're competing against Russell Orr, who's, maybe I'm going to do him dirty here, I'm going to say 5'6", maybe he's 5'6".
He has to be.
Yeah.
That's the energy you give.
I've met him in person. He's around 5'6", I would say.
Okay. You were just like, oh.
Yeah, you're just going to be chasing your tail. They're going to have way more muscle mass for their frame relative to what you have. It's just impossible because when you're a bigger person as well, your bones are longer. They're going to take up more mass. Everything is going to... That was a good one. I like that one. That was a good one.
I didn't even have to say anything. You got it yourself. Let's go. Yeah, so
I like that one.
How'd you do that?
What?
What'd you say? When you go up a weight class, your bones get longer. It didn't work.
No, what? When you're a taller person, like your bones are just like heavier. So that's even putting you at a further disadvantage because that's taking up mass in the weight class that is not muscle, contractile tissue. So the best weight class or the weight class where you will be most competitive is likely the one where you have the most amount of muscle mass while still maintaining a relatively lean body composition. Now, that little bit at the end, while maintaining a relatively lean body composition, up in the air a bit, I would say, because the weight that you are most competitive at might not be the one where you feel most like confident in your body image. You might say, but I'm lean. I'm not actually very lean. That was actually the main thing that held me back from going up. I was going, but I'm not particularly lean at 93. I'm not shredded. I don't look like C-bum at 93. So if I go to 105, I'm going to be obese. So that's where I can like empathize with a lot of the people who are resistant to going up. I was there for years not wanting to go up because I thought I was going to be fat as fuck. So I understand it. And there's definitely a lot of like mental work, I would say, that you have to do to just come to terms with like accepting that you're going to be a little bit fluffier. But what is most important to you, I actually asked you about this because I have situations with lifters who are very like resistant to going up. And as soon as they've been in a surplus for a little bit of time, although from my perspective, they still look great. They don't look like they've gained any sort of amount of significant body fat. I'm only seeing them in certain videos and so on. They are seeing themselves the whole time and they're going to be their own like biggest and harshest critic. There's a lot of like hesitation. They've been in a surplus for 2-3 months and they're going, I feel obese, I feel terrible, I look like shit, I'm a terrible person. And these were the thoughts that I would have about myself, kind of, I thought I would anyway, going up. But the performance benefits, how important are they for you? Do you, like, is it important to you to be the strongest powerlifter that you can be? And I think that's what it comes back to, checking in with the person and seeing where do their values lie. Do they want to have a body composition where they're like lean and have a six pack? Or do they want to be like the best powerlifter possible in the long term? And I'm not necessarily going to be able to decide that for someone. I absolutely can't decide that for someone. The only way you can come to that conclusion is just to like self-reflect yourself. And I suppose my job as the coach then is to try provide the questions that can allow someone to do that self-reflection, and then we can come to those conclusions then. So yeah, because maybe for some people, being that little bit heavier is not worth it for them because they are heavily invested in their body composition and they want to feel good and have a six pack and so on. But I would try to encourage or reassure people that if you do get heavier, you're probably going to feel even better about your body composition in the long term because you're going to have more mass. It's going to be temporary that you gain more weight. You're not going to be morbidly obese. You're not going to stay that size for the rest of your life. You might have 6-9 months where you feel a little bit softer, and then you're going to trim that off. And when you trim it off, you're going to have more muscle mass and feel better and be jacked and be lean and have all that good stuff that you dreamed of before.
So that is in the case where they need to go up a weight class to optimize their potential.
Yeah.
Right? I think you did this with your hands, right? You went, do you want to have six pack and be lean? Or do you want to focus on powerlifting performance? It doesn't mean that they're always mutually exclusive. Sometimes someone's bubbles match, and to be the best powerlifter they can be, they actually are going to be really lean, and that's fine as well. But I think maybe social media, or even the people at the top of powerlifting, because at first it distorts people's perception of what it means to be at the top. Because not everyone at the top is super lean. The people that do really well on social media are super lean. Nathaniel Messiah, am I saying that right? He comes to mind. He's not super lean, but he's lean enough, right? He's jacked, right? And he's obviously at the top. So young people coming up, not even young people, just everybody consuming social media content are saying, well, he's super lean and jacked, and he's at the top. So I'm lean now, and I'm in the 83s. So
this is the
class. Missing the fact that, sure, he's an outlier to begin with, but to be at the top of a class, like eventually, let's say if I fill out the 105s, the first time I fill out the 105s, I'm not going to be lean. I know surely, Antonio,
Yeah.
He put up a story the other day. He was 109, Spanish junior, 105. He is jacked. One of the best lifters in the world. So impressive, right? But guaranteed, I remember when he went from 93 to 105, it was in like a year.
Yeah.
He definitely wasn't lean at the start. In fact, I remember him not being lean at the start. Leaner than most.
Well, we better hope he doesn't listen to this, bro. Next time you're at an international, you're getting a few of those.
But now he's shredded at like 108, 109.
Exactly. Yeah. Oftentimes people are getting a snapshot. Woohoo! Oftentimes people are getting a snapshot of where someone is now and not seeing the work that got them there. So you might see someone who is lean and jacked at 110 now, but you didn't see the 5 years of being in a surplus where they were a little bit softer. And that was something that I realized. A lot of the people who are the best in the weight class, or they are jacked and lean, they spent a significant amount of time heavier than what they are now. So that was my whole thought process with moving up, that, okay, I'm going to have to get heavier to come back down to be competitive at 105. And that's kind of my plan at the moment. I'm going to go up. I'm going to spend another year building mass at 120s and then come back down and hopefully have relatively good body composition. And that helped me a lot, actually, on this process. Even when I was 14 and I felt fat and whatever, I was almost like living in the future in my mind of like, yeah, I'm like carrying a little bit more fat now, but in a year's time, I'm going to be 105 and shredded. And I'm going to have a lot of muscle mass and I'm going to be really confident in my physique. So being able to have that like foresight and see into the future the benefits that you'll have, not be so focused on how you look right now. And maybe that just comes with experience because we've been doing it for a bit longer of a time. If you've only been training for 1 year, it could be hard to imagine 2-3 years in the future of what your training could look like. But yeah, just being comfortable in the fact that I know this is only a temporary experience, that I'm going to be holding this extra body fat in the future, it's going to pay off.
On this conversation, it's helpful to look at a weight class and look at the podium or the top 5 at an international.
Yeah.
In your age class or in the opens more specifically, and just see the heights.
Yeah.
Just look at them.
Honestly.
Look at the heights of the 69s, 76s, 84s. You know, look at the heights of the 83s. Who's your man that just won the 83s? 800 total? He's got to be 5'1". You know? So, you know.
I shouldn't be laughing.
I'm just saying, if you're looking at heights and in weight classes.
Don't compare to him, man. If you just happen to be like 0.00001% of the population, you may have similar leverages. I'm trying to dance around that. So.
Anyway, just look at the winners of the weight classes and just look at the height of them, and maybe that's a good indicator. Okay, moving on swiftly, just into my next question for you on this topic. Is there anyone in Irish powerlifting, or just in general, that people would know that you'd love to see go up a weight class? It doesn't even have to infer anything about their current progress.
Yeah.
Just who would you love to see at the weight class above what they compete in?
Ewan Carmack.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him 105. For anyone who doesn't know, does he have the best stats of any junior lifter in Ireland? I think so.
Yeah. Pecs, did you say? Best pecs of any junior lifter in Ireland? What? That's weird.
Bro, your mind went there. I'm pretty sure if you watch back on the camera, I said dots, right? So you exposed yourself there, right? Yeah. Anyway, for anyone who is not familiar with him, he is basically the best junior lifter in Ireland. Probably up there, like the best lifter, full stop, in Ireland.
Jacked.
But he competes under 93 at the moment. So jacked. Bigger than me, twice the size of me. Under 93, but he does like big cuts for his competition. Now, he can absolutely say 93 and perform incredibly well and keep performing incredibly well. But I just think it would be so cool to see him if he was just like massive. How tall is he? Maybe
5'10".
5'10", yeah. If he was just like, he'd be a bowling ball of muscle. Like that would be sick to see.
It would be sick. He'd almost be like a Gavin Aiden level of muscle.
Yeah. That's actually something that I've thought about a few times. I want to be like a Gavin Aiden build at 6 foot.
Yeah.
That's what I need to strive
Not
5'6".
5'6".
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can't just become shorter. So I need to take what he has for his frame and then apply that to mine.
Who else? Matt Henry. I'd love to see.
Yeah. You call Matt out on this one. Go up. Like.
He's shredded as well. He's 93.
Yeah.
Would ace the 105s.
Yeah.
So nicely.
Yeah.
Richmond Biden.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Antonio Perez.
120 eventually would be crazy for him.
Crazy.
Because he's already squatting at like 340. Yeah.
And pretty easy.
He's going to squat 400 next time. Anyway, right. I'll just do this one kind of quickly because I think it was directed at me. Someone asked, how do you cut so quickly? Now, I think there was maybe like, I don't know, just the background context to this question may be a little bit like misinformed or misguided. Sort of implying that I cut very quickly. So I lost like 6 kilos in 6 weeks. Now, that rate of loss for me, based on how heavy that I was 114 kilos, that is roughly like 1% body weight per week. That is like a totally reasonable, normal rate of loss. So that's just what I did. And then doing that cut, saw very little strength loss or anything like that. So I would say, yeah, that was something that I didn't know beforehand in terms of what are expected like rates of progression in terms of a deficit or a surplus or whatever. But yeah, I would say 1% loss per week is totally normal. That is probably around where you should be aiming for if you're going to be in a deficit. So just to inform around that, that was the plan with my deficit. That's how I executed it, and it worked out pretty well. Yeah.
I've left this hat on so long that when I take it off, my hair is going to be in the shape of the fucking inside of the hat.
Dude.
No, it's too fucking late now. No, I'll do it when you're not looking or when you're talking about something and you don't notice.
Oh, state of my mind, so ugly. Oh.
Okay. Would we do an episode where we train together and give tips?
Yeah. That would be good. That would be fun. But just the logistics of that would probably be kind of hard.
I'd say what comes to mind
would just be
the
like
sound quality.
Yeah, fair. I have the mics.
Do we have the mics?
I would say that would just probably just be like a regular YouTube video. Put it on my channel, Andrew Blackwood, on YouTube. Go subscribe.
Don't subscribe to that shit. No, I'd say what we could do is we could answer questions between sets.
Yeah.
You know, because there is a particular mindset we get into when you're in that flow of training that sometimes you can talk on things differently than when we're just sat here.
Yeah.
Especially training related things. And then we can sit down after.
Yeah.
And talk. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Shout out to that person who asked that.
Mario's like, fuck.
Yeah. Rate's gone up, baby.
Yeah, that's twice the price. The next question.
What is it?
I assume it's for me because I have the more impressive bench. So if you had to lose 30 kg off your bench to save Andrew's life, would you?
I think it was framed so that we could both answer it. So you can answer it first.
Yeah.
You would lose 30 kilos off your bench to save my life. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I would personally take you out myself if that meant an extra 5 kilos on my bench. So fuck you. Nah, I'm only kidding, obviously. I would never bench again if it meant that you could live a long, happy, healthy life.
That's the real answer.
Yeah, of course, obviously. But they asked it to be funny, so fuck you.
Where's the line?
Of how much you would lose.
Of what you're willing to sacrifice to save my life.
I'd have to think about that one, right? Do you know what I think? I was actually thinking about this before when I saw the question. How far would I go? Would I sacrifice my own life to save your life? And then I was like, okay.
That's a blurry line.
Yeah,
would you sacrifice your own life for anything? Is like, okay.
Situation dependent. You'd have to be in the moment, split second decision. Did I know I was going to die to save you? Would I jump on a grenade for you? Who knows? I'd have to think about that a little bit. Bruno Mars.
There is a lot. There's lengths I would go to save your life, though. I appreciate
it. Likewise.
You know,
whatever you say, I would just do back.
Yeah, I know. That's the issue with this question. It's like,
I would sacrifice 1 million lives just to save yours. Oh, I might have to cut that one out.
No, keep that in.
That was a joke, obviously, right?
Yeah. The next one.
Yeah. Is it the one that I'm thinking?
It's the one that you want to answer.
Oh, yeah. But teeing us up for this one now.
When are we starting an OnlyFans?
So...
The issue with this is we need to have like a backlog of content to put out because we're busy. So we have about 10 weeks worth of content made. 2 Andrews, 1 Barbell on OnlyFans starting January 1st.
Fuck's sake. So the guy who asked this question, there is some background context to this, where over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to push content quite hard on the regular platforms of Instagram and so on. And
pushing it hard, baby.
and throughout this process, I accidentally became a bit of a sex symbol. So through no fault of my own. So basically, it was actually the video, the one that kicked it all off was the video that inspired the last podcast, where I said powerlifting should be fun. The video was me smiling and laughing and having a good time at a competition, right? So I think this video got maybe like 300,000 views or so.
Is it the one where it's like, it's all about confidence?
Yeah, so that was the second one.
Yeah,
that was when I was testing the hypothesis.
To be honest, that was pretty sexualized.
Yeah.
That was fucking...
Yeah, it was the Jack Harlow song as well about the I'll choke you.
Oh,
yeah. Like,
yeah, but I watched that. I was on season 3 of that thing.
I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit, but that was not really the intention. That was just a viral sound I thought would go with it. So this video itself spiked my audience like considerably, where I had a big influx of like new followers and things like that. And I started noticing after a day or so, these are all like women following me. And I would say the age demographic is maybe between like 20 years of age up to 50. I would say in the beginning, it was kind of leaning towards like 35 plus.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd click on the odd like page just to see who was following me. Nothing to do with powerlifting whatsoever. These are just like regular people. Yeah. Desperate housewives, if I may. Like, this has been crazy.
Cool.
Right? Yeah. And then I started getting comments on the video. Like, this is a public video. Everyone can see these. Going like, oh my God, this man, he's the hottest guy I've ever seen in my life. This is all this. I adore you. I would fly to Ireland to marry you. Like these kind of things. I'm reading these going, what the fuck?
Why didn't I start this sooner?
So I'm going, what is going on? And then after a little bit of time of that, then it reached the gay community again. Then I started getting comments from men going,
that was me, to be honest. That's me sending it in.
Do you need a husband? My personal favorite was a guy who just typed, grrr. I like that one now.
Instead of like meow, meow, it was like, grrr.
Then I started getting DMs. The DMs were popping off. If you come to California, let me know. Like these kind of things. Then the best one was I got a message from someone. Now this person had messaged me prior. And when they messaged me initially, I thought it was a fake page. Because they were saying something about wanting to fly me out somewhere.
It was too good to be true.
Yeah, basically. And I clicked onto the page and they had like a lot of followers and stuff, but the posts were like high production quality, like almost like too good to be true. They just looked like fake. They had like 10,000 followers, stuff like this. So I was like, this is just, it can't be real. That was a while ago. And this was kind of at the time where I would get a lot of messages being like, they were like scam messages. Do you want to be my sugar baby for $500 a month and stuff like that? I wish they were real. Man, I wish they were real. I'd be on that. Like,
yeah. You lost a lot of money from giving your bank account details to those people. So it's never true.
Yeah.
You know?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I ignored it. They messaged me again, kind of after this post. And they were like, oh, so handsome, baby. I'm still looking forward to flying you out to Hawaii when you have a break between training and competitions. Well, I'm looking forward to flying you out to Hawaii when you have a break between training and competitions. So I clicked onto their page again, and now they have like far more posts, and I'm going, this is like a real person. This woman, she looked like she was maybe 40-ish,
perfect,
give or take, is like fully offering to fly me out to Hawaii. So I'm going through the page going, I need to find out like more information because if it's legit, I might be going to Hawaii.
Yeah, figure out the logistics of this thing.
And I'm going, okay, something looks like a little bit off. That's why I was kind of sus. I was like, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it what it is, but there's just something that's kind of off. Anyway, I ended up Googling the person. They have like a full Wikipedia. They're like well known as a theatrical performer in Hawaii. Turns out it's a transgender woman who is looking to fly me out. So, minor wrinkle in the overall plans, but I think I might be going to Hawaii.
Yeah, wrinkle, accelerator. What are you talking about? Be the business.
So that's been happening, and there's been quite an influx from ladies 20 to 50 and gay men. So I think I might pack in the powerlifting coaching and just start an OnlyFans instead. Probably make more money.
Yeah, be packing in something anyway. So, okay, let me actually ask you.
Yeah.
What would it take for you to start an OnlyFans?
I think if there was just a clear pathway of like, if you just do X, Y, Z, you can make a significant amount of money. Probably wouldn't even need to be that much.
Really?
It depends what content I'd have to post.
Well,
like,
no.
If it's like, yeah, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
Now I'm not looking to go to. See, I'm just trying to leave little crumbs so that I can build the investment so that.
Exactly, man. You're good at this social media stuff.
Exactly,
like, you know, you've been pushing content hard, as you said. So
yeah, it would depend. Now I know of, so I don't know this guy personally. I just associate.
Yeah.
But like he, as far as I know, has made quite a lot of money from having an OnlyFans, directed, as far as I understand, majority towards like gay men. But I think this guy does like the full explicit stuff. I would have my ass out of a towel or something like that. I'd do that.
Man, I'm gonna start putting the stuff you send me on OnlyFans and start like commenting on your Instagrams, going, if you want the premium Andrew content,
you can be my manager. Anyway, right?
Yeah, bro.
What have we got here? So, what? Do you have one or no?
No, you ask the next one.
Okay. Do you have any plans to go 120 plus or super heavyweight? For me, I would assume. And then I would say 120 kilos or so for you.
No. Okay, well,
120?
here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Right now I'm like 100 kilos, give or take. And then this year coming, I'm focusing on filling out the 105s. And then I'm into the opens. And I'm out of college. And I don't know where life is going to take me. Yeah. So your ability to push weight is going to be determined by what you're doing with your life as well, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I would say for myself to go 120 plus or super heavyweight, no. Absolutely no interest whatsoever. Just no. My plan after this year, where I go up to 120, is just to come back down to 105 and I just feel good. Again, as we talked about quite a bit on here with the whole body composition and body image stuff, running like a fitness business, obviously it is more beneficial to be leaner. It's just more engaging content that you're able to put out there. People buy into it a lot more if you are like a shredded guy. That is kind of what like the fitness industry has been built around for so many years. So for myself, yes, I will be looking to come back down to 105. There's nothing that I can think about going super heavyweight that would appeal to me or be beneficial to me, to be honest. So
You're saying 105, but the answer is more so definitely not 120 plus.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like I would also go beyond 105. I could train around 110. There will come a point where I'm leaner at 105 than I am now at 100, and so I'll train at 110. I could even dabble in being heavier. It's just very hard to imagine me being way heavier than I am now.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah,
and it's also, you have to consider the jump in weight we're talking here.
A lot.
We're at the weight classes in the IPF where the next jump is huge, and to be a successful 120 plus, you're not 122.
Yeah,
you're 150. You know,
so even more. Like
I'd say you've more reason to avoid the 120 plus than I do to avoid the 120s.
Fair.
But even competitive wise or competition wise, 120 is no point.
Yeah, I would concur.
Would you ever take steroids?
So this is like a big one, I would say. Maybe that pause there like implied that maybe I would.
Would you ever stop?
Stop taking steroids. So off the bat, no, I don't think I would ever plan on taking steroids ever. Now, there's like lots of things that would go into that or making that decision that I would say. So for myself, the main reasons that I wouldn't take steroids is, okay, what do like steroids bring per se? You're just going to be like more jacked, potentially be stronger. I don't think either of those two things would like significantly improve the quality of my life. Like obviously, yes, that's what I'm like working towards. I want to get like bigger. I want to get stronger. But I don't think if I was just had massive delts that it would make me any happier as a person or improve my life in any real way, shape or form. The avenue that I compete in is tested, obviously, but we're going to talk about that in a little minute. The untested, I'm not sure how I want to talk about this. The untested avenues for lifting to me just aren't as enticing. They just don't seem as
They don't have
engaging.
an equivalent of the IPF.
IPF worlds. Yeah. Unless you are like John Hack and you're like the very top of the world, I just don't think it's as interesting. And that's just me personally because my interests lie in tested powerlifting. I could not tell you 10 untested powerlifters probably. that like compete regularly. I couldn't even tell you the federations of like untested powerlifting. Yeah. It's just not what I'm interested in. A lot of them are like knee wraps, deadlift bar. Again, just not what I'm interested in. Doesn't appeal to me. I just don't think it's as mainstream. I don't think it's as accessible, perhaps. Now, this is not shitting on anyone who has gone down that route. Absolutely, no problem, go ahead. It's just for me and my values that just being more jacked or anything like that is not the direction that would add anything to my life, really. So yeah, I don't think if there's anything particularly like relevant to say beyond that. Actually, yeah, the long-term like health implications of it as well. Yeah. I just don't want to mess with that. Yeah. Like I don't want to have to freeze my sperm to have a family. I think having a family is probably...
What are those ice cubes that you have right now?
I would say...
They're just for fun. Nothing to do with family. They're just to trick people when they go in for a drink.
Like, your drink when you go over. Anyway.
Going over tonight, let's go.
Yeah, I would say for me, like having a family is probably the most important thing in my life, or that's what I want to prioritize in the future. I don't know when that will be, but that is something that is going to be very important to me. So I just don't want to, and now that's not to say if you go on steroids, you can't have a family and you can't have kids. We know plenty of people who have done that. But I just don't want to interfere with that in any way, shape or form. For powerlifting specifically, that's just not worth it for me. For any body composition benefits that I could get, doesn't really interest me. I enjoy powerlifting, again, as we talked about in the previous episode, just that overcoming challenges, climbing that mountain, I can do all that natural. I can still get jacked and have a great physique and feel good about myself naturally without potentially shortening my lifespan, without interfering with being able to have kids, without the mental effects, where you go on gear, you get massive, you get strong, you start to associate yourself with that identity. What happens when you come off? Do you never come off? If you do have to come off, cycle off to have a family, your then test plummets, you have to stay on TRT, you have to then come to terms with not being as strong as you once were, separating yourself from that previous identity. This is me talking about it, having never done it, obviously, and maybe people who have been there and done that, they listen to me thinking I'm talking about my ass, I don't know. But just that's not something I even want to go near. It's just not worth it for me, full stop. So yeah.
Coming up, I was under the impression that the idea of going on like test when you're over the age of like 40 is a good idea with like avoidable health implications, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah. So I don't know if I could say no. As long as I am a tested powerlifter, I will not. There's no, like you're saying, the pro to con is negligible. There's like no pro to loads of con. But I imagine that ratio starts to change as you become, I don't know, maybe I'll be a master IPF lifter and I again won't want to take them. So it's kind of hard to predict that far into the future, but 20 years into the future.
That's somewhat of an interesting topic. Say you are 40 years old, your natural test is starting to drop, and then you go, okay, I want to stay feeling youthful and good and maintain good body composition. So maybe I'm going to start TRT or something like that. Now that was something that sounded like reasonable and to me, and maybe that like might still be the case if I'm not competing and whatever, just for like quality of life, things like that. But again, I can't really comment on that because it's so far down the line. I have no idea what life circumstances may be like that at that stage. And I only heard someone talk about this recently where I'd never heard it before, was that like your test is kind of meant to drop. Say when you're 30, 40, you have kids. The whole like purpose of that is, say you're in your 20s, your test is like as high as it ever been. You're like a go, go, go. You're just out there, you're the alpha male, you're trying to find a partner and start a family. Then you've started a family, you've had kids. Your test is meant to come down that little bit. You're a little bit softer, you're a little bit more caring, you're a little bit
softer.
You probably will be, yeah. You're a little bit more caring, you're not that alpha male anymore. And that's how we've evolved, I guess. That's what is meant to happen. You're not meant to be this jacked out of your mind 50-year-old.
What comes to mind is the life expectancy changes or growth exponentially in the last, like, I want to say like 200 years, has gone from what, like 40 to 80. So yeah, your test would drop off when you're near death at first. But now,
bro, people were 200 years ago dying when they were 40. That's got to be spoof, man. You just made that up. Like,
people know, people listening know I'm onto something there. Might be 300
65.
years. Huh?
65, definitely.
Okay, look, it was, anyway, there was a point. All I'm getting at is, I completely get what you're saying, but we now live like twice as long as people who still had that same test drop off.
Okay.
And so we are like retirement age is going up.
Yeah.
For instance, right? So
not me though. I'm going to be a billionaire philanthropist when I'm 25. I'm retiring early, baby.
Yeah, straight to Hawaii. So, all I'm thinking is, again, this is on a topic I have like no learning in. I don't know anything about.
Talking out of our ass.
I'm just proposing that back in the day, people's habits and lifestyle when they were 60 were very different than they are now. Like people were retiring at a set age because after that they were withering away. Whereas now, I could see us being 60, 70 kicking compared to people 100 years ago. And so the requirement of tests, I don't know a lot about the pharmacology surrounding tests, but
I would say as well, sorry to cut across, that all the information and stuff that we hear about people's tests declining is probably the average person. And not to say that we're like above average, but like we train very often. We have relatively good like diets and nutritional profiles. That all like will significantly impact your testosterone levels, I would say. So I would say in general, even if we were not to hop on TRT or do any of that, we would probably have like above average test. I don't know, that's me making stuff up. But just because of the lifestyle habits that we have, that you probably wouldn't get the negative health implications of low test that you hear talked about from people who are in their 30s, 40s, whatever.
I wonder what the like percentage of the population will be prescribed TRT if they go to their doctor after the age of 40. I actually don't know that number. I wonder, like, it'd be worth going when you're, I say 40, like, as if it's old. It's more just the number I have in my head that when things go down. But I'd say at that age, I will go to the doctor and say, do you think I need TRT? I don't know.
Pin me. Like,
What? Anyway, what's the next question? Quick.
What mental strategies help? Actually, no, not next topic.
Says.
No. We were talking about steroids. This is something I need to get off my chest.
Go for it.
Okay, and I don't actually know how I want to talk about this, but we're talking about steroids and we compete in the Assisted Federation Junior World Championships this year.
Yeah.
I don't know where I came. I think I came 7th overall, something like that. But I came 4th on deadlifts.
Nice.
On the verge of the podium. So close.
I texted you the other day.
Yeah.
Yo, the guy who came 3rd at Worlds
tested positive. Basically, he's on steroids, baby. The guy who came ahead of me was on steroids. Like, I don't want to. It's such a difficult topic to talk about for me, because I don't want to be all salty and start complaining about it and so on. Because I feel like when you start accusing people of being on steroids, or you're going, oh, this person's on the gear because they're stronger than me, you just seem like it's a real like beta thing to do, to be like accusing other people of being on gear because they're better than you. It's like, oh, just get better then.
I don't feel like doing that.
This scenario, the guy who came ahead of me was cheating. He was on steroids, right? He tested positive for like 2 or 3 substances and came ahead of me. Now, I don't know what that means for me now, having come 4th behind someone who was cheating. Does that mean that I am now eligible for that bronze medal deadlift? I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if they would send out medals retrospectively because that person has now been stripped. I don't know what the thing is there. I might email just to inquire. But that is like, it's just disappointing. Yeah. And what's actually, to add another layer that makes it a little bit even more disappointing, the guy who tested positive, I actually kind of like him. Like he's a nice enough guy. Like when we were there, we'd chat and like be friendly. And I like him. But the fact that he went and did that and was cheating in a Assisted Federation, well, like, you can't help but lose respect for someone for doing that.
Yeah.
And for a while, there's been tons of people like around that are in similar weight classes to me. Well, not tons of people, but there's people that I'm like suspect of. Now, I'm not going to like name any names or try pointing fingers because again, it's like, I just don't feel like it's a good avenue when you go down that. But there's definitely been people where I am suspect. And now to have it like backed up and reaffirmed a little bit by someone testing positive in my weight class, and there's like other people who, people have come to me and gone, did you see that guy who is so obviously on gear that it's not even funny? And it's like, it's a little bit disappointing that at the highest level of the sport, that it is so common. Now, when I was thinking about like the whole medal situation and do I apply to see if they can like accredit me somehow for coming third, I don't really know if I want to do that, because I'm not even like majorly fussed about the medal, because that's not even necessarily like what I care about, to be honest. Like, if I didn't get the medal, it's not really going to make a massive difference to me, because again, like in the previous podcast, all the things that I actually do powerlifting for the enjoyment of overcoming the challenges and just having that mountain to climb. But it is still disappointing and frustrating to have that be the case, that you are competing against people on an unfair, not a level playing field. Now, again, I don't want to complain about it too much because I just don't want to come off like that. That's disappointing. And I know there's other people in the weight class who weren't tested at the competition who, again, I would be a little bit suspect of. Yeah, it is just a little bit like disheartening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any input or similar experiences. I'd be interested to see what they say about the medal.
Yeah.
I know it's not that big a deal, but it's not going to put you out emailing.
Yeah.
Or maybe the RHPF might know.
Yeah.
People in there, but
just check them. See what the story is. That is disappointing. If you are, especially for like powerlifting, if you're like, you're taking steroids in a tested federation, come on, check yourself. That's a little bit shitty.
Do you know anything about the presence of like doping behaviors in other sports, other high level sports?
Just from, say, like do you know that documentary Icarus on Netflix? Have you watched that?
No.
It was about cycling. It was a guy who was basically doing like a cycling documentary, and I can't even remember the full context of it, but he was trying to uncover what like performance benefits doping could give, I think. Basically, he ended up like doping himself and uncovered this massive like state-sponsored scandal, I think, with the Russians, and like how it was prevalent in all these different sports. And you see it all the time with like top-level athletes in the Olympics or whatever sport that it is. People are testing positive all the time. And this is something that, again, I don't know how to talk about without coming across badly, where there's people that I'm suspect of, but more often than not, I feel like we give like the benefit of the doubt and try to do like mental gymnastics to justify why this person could just be the genetic elite and they could be the 0.0001%, that they're just that good and better than everyone else. My first thought oftentimes is, okay, that is possible. This person could just be so elite and they're doing, for whatever reason, something that is better than everyone else. Or they're just doing the thing that is like so widespread and widely available and easily accessible that they're getting a little bit of additional help from some special supplements. I don't think that is beyond the realm of possibility. And obviously it's not, because it is so common in sports. So many high-performing athletes have been taking steroids for years. And now, obviously, you can go too far in the other end, that anyone who's better than you, you're just going, oh, he's on steroids, I could do that if I was on steroids. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying to do. But I don't know where the line is, because it's always going to be prevalent. There's always going to be people who cheat. No matter how advanced the testing gets, there's going to be people who find ways around the testing and create new designer drugs and whatever. I was talking to someone about this recently. He was recommending a documentary about that. Some guy that was making this like crazy chemical that was just undetectable. You just could not test for it. It's common. It happens. Like, it is so easy to get your hands on steroids. You go into a commercial gym. I can't remember, someone was telling me that there was like a study done to find like what percentage of like the population of regular gym goers have used steroids before or are currently using steroids. It's like a massive percentage. I don't want to make it up because I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's quite a significant percentage. It's easy to get your hands on steroids. And it's cheap. From talking to people who are on steroids, it is ridiculously cheap. It's probably easier to buy a cycle of tests than it is to buy a tub of protein powder, which is unbelievable. That's fucking crazy.
I think when I heard that, I was pretty surprised as well.
Yeah.
You're under the impression that this thing,
Yeah.
this chemical
Yeah.
that you have to inject is going to be like hundreds and hundreds. It's not.
Yeah. It's fucked. And that is my kind of thought process. Oftentimes, when you see someone who is so much of an outlier, like they're so far better than everyone else in like a crazy short period of time, okay, maybe we can justify that this person is somehow way better. They have crazy genetic potential and so on. Or they're just taking drugs. And maybe they have crazy genetic potential and they are working hard and doing the rest of it. But drugs are common.
Yeah.
And it's common in sports. It's easily accessible. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. It's just disappointing. And I don't think it'll ever stop. I don't think there's going to be any ways to get around it because, as I said, as testing gets better, so will the evasion of it. So that's why, for me, again, in the previous episodes that we talked about, that mindset that we came to of just enjoying the process for yourself, running your own race, stop focusing on the medals. Because I lost out in a medal because someone else was cheating. If I was so focused on the medals, man, that would have been miserable for me then. And now I'd be in my room, depressed, screaming into the pillow because I lost out on the thing that I wanted so badly because someone else is cheating and I'm so hard done by the world and whatever. I don't really care that much, but it is disappointing.
Yeah.
And then there's like somewhat of an interesting side topic to that, where there are like compounds that are not necessarily like illegal to take in competition, stuff like testosterone and things like that, that lead to performance benefits. I don't know how much of a performance benefit that it gives, but that's common. I know people who are like taking testosterone and stuff like that. It's on like the watch list.
Do you inject it?
As far as I know, you take it as like a capsule. So it's like a plant. That's what it is. For people who aren't familiar with it, as far as I know, it's like from a plant somewhere, for Azerbaijan or something, I don't know.
Okay.
It just gets condensed into like a capsule, a pill. You take that. I saw More Plates, More Dates on YouTube. He did a video about it. I think he did like a case study to see what performance benefits that it gives.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what it says it does. I think it just helps you get like stronger, get more jacked, things like that. But it's not illegal. You don't like pinning yourself, jabbing, doing anything like that. But it's like a loophole where you can take this thing and get some benefit out of it. Now, you could do that. You and I could do that. As we like sit here right now, we could say, okay, after this, we're going to like hop on testosterone. How much of a benefit we get, I don't know. But even that for myself, I just don't even want to go near anything that is in that kind of gray area. It might not be banned now, but who knows, in a couple of years it might be banned. Same reason that I would not be interested in going on like steroids, where say you do take this thing that gives a performance benefit and then in a year it gets banned and then you have to come off it and then you have to detach from that identity that you had when you were on the performance benefit. I just don't want to take anything that is in like a fine line where you're like walking the edge of cheating.
Yeah.
I don't want to go near it. And there's other people who I know are doing that. And that's what like goes on in sport. People will like look for these loopholes in any way that they can get around it. Who am I to judge? Who am I to say what you should or shouldn't do? But that is like further evidence to me for the mindset that I've adopted of just running my own race, being happy with putting in the effort for myself, finding ways to take enjoyment and fulfillment out of the process rather than being fixated on these things that are outside of your control. Because as we've seen, people can cheat and you might do everything right and still not reach the level that you wanted to because of other people's doing. Now, that's kind of a sad note to tail off on, but that's something that has gone on.
It's just more reason to run your own race. Don't worry about what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
On the testosterone, I actually can't quite pinpoint why I wouldn't. It's like my gut says if there's a question mark over something, just leave it.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
you don't need it.
Yeah.
So just leave it. If there's a question mark, just don't bother.
Yeah.
It's like anything in life. It's just like if I'm not too sure,
stay away from it.
Probably grand. Yeah. What was I going to add to that? I don't fucking remember. So, next question.
Do you even have it?
I do. I see one there. Why doesn't Andrew Rowe pull sumo like a real man?
Well,
okay.
What's your rebuttal?
Oh, my rebuttal is I'd love to see you pull conventional.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
I just love that. Like your deadlift is so good.
Yeah. Do you know why I don't pull conventional? Because my adductors are too big. It squishes my balls.
Okay.
I'm being 100% serious. If I do RDLs or try to pull conventional, I will just crush my balls with my adductors.
Move them somewhere.
Move my balls somewhere?
Yeah.
But that...
Move your legs out.
Yeah, but then I'm in sumo, like.
No. No.
So man, my adductors are big. Like I would say 80% of the mass of my legs is my adductors. Okay. I don't have particularly big quads or anything like that. It's just my legs are like a reverse like pyramid. There's just a lot of mass here. If I do like RDLs, say I try to take like a relatively big stance, if I try like flip it above the thighs, then when you hinge over, then my belly's crushing it. So like I'm fucked.
So I don't know if you guys saw that demonstration there. He's saying when he flips them above his thighs, the bar crushes them.
My belly crushes them.
Yeah.
So man, I just can't pull conventional. I'm just too jacked for it.
So all I'm hearing is excuses. Bro doesn't want to pull conventional because he's
all I'm hearing is he has small balls. So
or small adductors. Okay.
Yeah, fair.
Why don't I pull sumo though? I've actually competed sumo once, and it went really well.
Fair.
And that training cycle, sumo, went really well.
Yeah.
But then after that competition, every sumo session I did felt shit. And I'm fairly sure looking back, it was probably because of just how I managed fatigue and stress. Probably went back into heavy loads too soon. I was still super beat up. So we spoke about before how when you're super beat up, familiar movement patterns start to feel less familiar, just because the muscles involved in those movement patterns are fatigued. And so you try something else and it feels better. The reason I moved to sumo initially was because I was having a lot of pain when I was pulling conventional. And then when I moved to sumo, that pain was gone. So I did it as you would. Then I like switched the hook grip and everything because my hands were opening up when I was pulling sumo. It was going well. But then when I moved back to conventional, it was just so much more consistent. So much more consistent.
I remember this.
So much more natural feeling, and I didn't have to think. And then now I've tried sumo since, and I think once or twice, as in like tried it for a few weeks, and I hated it. I really didn't enjoy it. And that could be me being impatient again with loading things, maybe technique. It's just like I don't feel when I have to go the extra mile to make something feel good, that it's worth it when I can just do conventional and it feels good. I also don't think, and this is going to turn into a conversation before Andrew and I don't think sumo is this automatic improvement on everybody's deadlift. It's
100%.
not, I think, say low bar, I'd be fairly confident in saying 99% of people are going to feel better low bar. Sumo though, people presume it's the same thing. People presume that, oh well, this person pulls really well sumo, so I'm going to pull really well sumo.
And all the jokes around it that like sumo is cheating, since that's become like such a big like haha funny meme, there are people who are like getting into lifting who genuinely wholeheartedly believe that like sumo is just automatically way easier than conventional. And I made a post about that saying there are plenty of people who will be stronger at conventional because they're not well built for sumo. And again, lots of people are agreeing, going, yeah, this is the case for me. My conventional is 20 kilos stronger than my sumo. I just can't get it to feel right, blah, 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 blah. But then there's an equal amount of people and a surprising amount of people going, no, everyone will be stronger sumo. It's just some people start with conventional first. I go, what? How do you actually believe that? They're like, if everyone started sumo first, they would all be way stronger than they are conventional, these kind of ideas. And there's a ton of people who genuinely believe that sumo is just somehow easier. They're going, sumo is easier because shorter ROM and less stress on your back. Oh my goodness gracious, that is just like so misguided. I don't even know what to say beyond that of just like, respectfully, it's not. Like there are so many different like variables that will contribute to how good you will be at sumo. One of the biggest determining factors is just going to be your individual anatomy, how your bones are shaped, how your femur sits in the socket of your pelvis. Some people, I forget the words, whether they're like anteverted hips or like extroverted hips. Some people, the way that their hip socket comes out, for me, I cannot squat with like a relatively narrow stance. I just can't get down to depth. But if I turn my feet out 45 degrees, for whatever reason, the way that my femur will move in my hip socket, there's way more range of motion coming out to the side. There's just significantly more. There are tons of people who are the opposite. When they try to externally rotate a ton, their hips just do not want it. They have a ton of range of motion up the middle. That's perfect for them. You cannot change the way that your bones are shaped. But there are a ton of people that think, okay, I'm bad at sumo. That just means I need to work on my mobility. I just need to do adductor mobility drills and like stretch out my adductors and I'll get better. No, bro, your hips are not designed to move in that direction. And you'll see that with people who are trying to do that and they just cannot get their knees out of the way and they have like super buckled knees and they're trying to like pull it and it just looks like a conventional deadlift. There are tons of people who are built like that. Now, that there's going to be the same on the other side where there's tons of people who are way better built for sumo, but that's just the point, is that individual anatomy is going to play a big role. Try them both out for yourself. See what works. If you feel that you have to force sumo, like you were kind of saying, you have to do all this extra work to make sumo feel good, the likelihood is maybe you're just not particularly well built for this. Can also depend like how long your back is relative to your legs, how long your arms are, like all these kind of things. But I would say the biggest thing is just the shape of your hips. Like the people's hips are shaped differently. We're not all the exact same person. So yeah, just sumo is not automatically better.
And, you know, conventional isn't always better either. Your balls could get stuck between your legs. And
exactly. I had another point that I thought, but it was a bit of a stretch to tie and I can't even remember what it was.
Don't worry about it. So that's why I don't post Sumo, because it just feels like shit, and conventional's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that us?
I think that's us. I think we answered all the questions.
Amazing.
We got through it. Actually, that's not us. I've got a surprise for you. It being Christmas and all that.
Yeah?
I got your present. And
Really?
it's for you to open on air.
On air?
Live for the people.
Oh my God. I didn't get you anything.
Yeah, it's all right. You'd been dropping hints that this is what you wanted for a few weeks. So I was in the shopping center doing my Christmas shopping and I just thought immediately of you. So I said, I'll give this to you on air. And anyone who's listening on Spotify, go to the YouTube so that you can see this as
I'll
we go.
put it on my Instagram story if it's not abysmal.
Yeah, go.
I don't know what's in here. It's a mug?
Yeah.
Are they yours? Are they your fucking feet? Are they yours?
No, I just Googled hairy feet.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That's disgusting.
Bro, I felt so horrendous in the shop. I was in Fujifilm.
Look at the dirt in the toenail. You could have used your own feet. I would have drank out.
I was gonna, but I was in the shop. I'm not gonna take my shoes off in Dundrum Shopping Centre. Take a
Why?
my feet.
Plenty of picture saved on your camera roll already. You can use that.
So anyway,
Say.
if you want coaching, Evolution Powerlifting, I have a website that should be up and running the new year. Evo Powerlifting on Instagram, Andrew Blackwood _ Instagram, Andrew _ Blackwood on TikTok, Andrew Blackwood on YouTube. If you want to get coaching from this young
Andrew
man.
Blackwood on OnlyFans. Okay? Andrew Smallwood on OnlyFans. So, Andrew Rowe _ Odyssey on Instagram, TikTok, Andrew Rowe 6. 2 Andrews, 1 Barbell on Spotify and YouTube.
I think that's us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Merry
See you
Christmas.
in the next one.